Hi, welcome back to Cloud9 Crunch. I'm Joe Gibson. This is Doug Gibson.
Hi.
And today
Hello.
on Halloween, we're going to talk about John Carpenter's Halloween.
Halloween was the first of the slasher films, at least the genre as we know it. It was made for $300,000, which is slightly under, I think, a million today or close. It grossed 47 million, which is 150 million today. So it was a huge hit. John Carpenter had made some interesting films, Assault on Precinct 13, Dark Star, I believe, and he had a reputation. But I think this is the best of the slasher films ever made. And it was the first one of the genre, in my opinion. Do you want to say something, Joe?
I'll probably agree. It's between this one and Scream for me, of what I've seen anyway. Whether or not this one or Scream is better, we can find out throughout the video. But yes, this is one of the best slash movies ever made.
Let me tell you why it's a good movie. Well, no, I don't want to start that right now. I want to tell you it's about 1963, the fictional town of Haddonfield, Illinois. There's a little boy, and his name is Michael Myers, and he's just walking into his house. He's walking up the stairs, and his sister has just had a little tryst with her boyfriend. The boyfriend's already left, and he's holding a huge knife. I'm not giving anything away by giving the beginning of this, okay?
It's just the opening scene.
Yeah, and he hacks her to death. And this is almost an iconic scene now in horror films. Everyone's running up the front steps, and they say, Michael? He's got this blank expression on his face. Is he wearing a costume or his sleepers? I can't remember.
He put on the boyfriend's like clown mask.
Clown
He takes
mask,
it off in
yeah.
the street, and you finally see his face for the
And
first time in the movie.
he's holding the, it's not a dagger. It's not really a dagger, but it's a
Kitchen
kitchen
knife,
knife, a big one.
implement.
Yeah, and it's all covered with blood. And then you go 15 years later, and it's one of the great setup scenes. Donald Pleasance is the Van Helsing, quote unquote, of this movie. And he's with a bored nurse driving to a mental institution. And they're just having this desultory conversation. Loomis, they're talking about Michael, who's, what did we be about, 21 now?
He was 6. Yeah, he's
21. And Loomis is talking about him as he has no soul. He must be stopped. And the nurse is saying, you're, insinuating he's a person without any kind of feelings or anything. And then you see these shapes of people walking, and they're from the mental hospital. The gates are open. Do you want to go on from there, or do you want me to keep going?
Well, we can put a pin in this and talk about Van Helsing Loomis as the Van Helsing just very quickly, because he's an archetype, a feature to all modern Dracula movies, for better or for worse. I think the character's a bit overused, but for what he represents, it's interesting, because in the book, Van Helsing is brought in as this outsider. In the book, many characters are British, obviously, and some of them, the POV characters, look down on Dracula for partly because he's an outsider to the British culture. He's Eastern European or that kind of thing. But is he Dutch or something? Whatever, German, Dutch.
I know he's English.
I mean Van Helsing, just quickly. He comes in as an outsider that they all look up to.
Dutch, yeah.
They all look up to Van Helsing, despite the fact he's also not from Britain. But he has that high standing. But he's also juxtaposed with not insanity per se, but very unorthodox methods. We think of blood transfusion as a science nowadays, but they didn't have blood types back when the book was written. So it's it was the point in the history of blood transfusion where it's almost a taboo kind of thing when Dracula was written. Before that and after that point, it was treated more seriously. But in that special window, that's when Van Helsing exists. Extreme methods, but a very witty old man that's very determined to do his things. And then Sam Loomis, tell us some more about him.
Well, Dr. Loomis is a little crazy, like Dr. Van Helsing is. There's a scene in the movie where he scares kids away from the house on Halloween and gives the ghost of a smile as they leave, all right? He's a bit crazy, he's unorthodox. I don't want to give it away, but the first great shock scene, and I'm not saying it's not a jump scare, because this movie doesn't do jump scares, okay? They're well developed. Is when it's on top of the car when they're coming and the nurse is driving into the mental hospital. This movie has like Dracula itself, this movie has great opening scenes, all right? And so
jumping back into the plot. It is Smith's Grove, Smith's Field, something, Smith's Grove
I can't
Sanitarium.
remember the name of the sanitarium.
Michael escapes from there. He hops on top of the car, and then he steals the car. And here's the question everyone's been asking since 1978. How did Michael learn how to drive that car?
Well, they do address it in the film. They just don't, somebody says, how can he even drive a car? And Dr. Loomis says, he was doing very well last night.
Loomis even postulates that someone taught him, and that makes a lot of sense to me. It makes sense they would try to approach Michael in a variety of ways, including teaching how to drive.
The thing is, we don't have any idea, other than what Dr. Loomis is saying, about the 15 years. In Rob Zombie's inferior remake of the movie, they try to examine some of young Michael's tenure in the sanatorium, but they don't in the Carpenter version. So we just have to take it as it is.
It also leans into the angle of, is Michael truly a man, or is he the boogeyman?
Well, yeah,
that's the motif throughout the thing. But, okay, so then we meet Laurie, right?
Laurie Strode, yes.
And her father's a realtor.
Her father's a realtor. He's actually trying to pitch the dilapidated Myers house, I think, because she has to leave keys under the mat. But this movie builds tension as Michael slowly comes back, and you keep seeing him in places. He's even driving a car at times.
It's because he sees Laurie drop the keys off. Yeah. Whether he's in the house or outside the house, I can't tell.
Kind of becomes fixated with her.
He becomes fixated on her, and like you just said, you'll see him in a variety of shots throughout the movie. Other shots, you won't see anything, but he'll implicitly be there watching, like his POV or something. And then he'll come into a shot from the darkness or disappear into nothing.
And it's very effective. Carpenter uses what is called foreshots, late in the movie particularly, where instead of the person and viewer being surprised, I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but he will give you Michael Myers just before the scare scene. And that builds tension, in my opinion.
Oh, yeah.
You go, oh no. And then there's a time where you're going to see something happen. I don't want to try to jump across the film, but it's when she's already frightened to death, but when Laurie Strode first encounters Michael, in a physical sense, it's a foreshadowing shot. Yeah. So we should talk about how Laurie has two friends.
Yes.
They were played by P.J. Souls, and I had her name. It's something.
Is
Linda?
Her name Linda?
Linda, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Or if we're both guessing Linda, it's probably Linda.
Yeah, and Nancy Loomis plays Annie. And Annie is also the daughter of the sheriff.
And her boyfriend is named Paul? And Linda's boyfriend's named Bob, I think?
It is Bob, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But this is another strong thing of Halloween. They develop characters that you like, and particularly in Laurie Strode's case, you care about. I mean, a lot of films, particularly in the Friday the 13th and to some degree the Nightmare on Elm Street and all the generic slashers out there, they don't really build characters that you care about. They don't take time to develop their personalities. And I think that adds to the horror when something happens, when you care about the person. There's a scene in Halloween where Laurie, she's a typical teenage girl. Jamie Lee Curtis plays Laurie Strode. When you think of Jamie Lee Curtis now, she's got gray hair and everything. She's a sort of bookish type of girl who doesn't date, but you see her singing a song. It's a romance song, and you can sense the longing in her life for boyfriends and stuff like that. That she's just too shy to deal with, and her friends tease her about that. In fact, she, in a moment of weakness, says she likes a guy named Ben, and then the character Annie is the more sardonic one. Says calls Ben and everything, and keeps ragging her about it. But,
it was very, very clear.
Yeah.
I know you don't like what happens to Ben in the sequel, but it's really hilarious. It is really hilarious what happens to Ben, okay?
Well, he gets killed in Halloween.
He gets blown up.
Yeah.
He's wearing the Michael mask, and the car just hits him, and he blows up. Okay,
yeah, it's
back to the characters.
Show. I mean, look, I'm a fussy person, okay? I hate Friday the 13th Part 2 because the poor girl who survived the entire frickin' Friday the 13th one, they kill her in the prologue of Friday the 13th 2. Okay.
Just watch Halloween Resurrection.
I'm giving away too much stuff here. I've tried to forget every Halloween movie between 3, which I don't like too much, but it's okay, and then 1 and 18 that at least brought the series back. But these three girls are well developed. They have places in the school. The boys that she's going to babysit, they're even the boy and the girl, particularly the boy, they're well developed too, and it's just there's just a certain tension throughout the entire film, little nuggets of fear because you see Michael just going around and doing things, and there's a scene where some bullies have just beaten up. Is his name Tommy, the boy? I think it is Tommy.
Tommy Doyle?
Yeah, I don't care about the last names, but yeah. But they throw and break his pumpkin. And the boy's running away. He runs right into Michael. I mean, it causes you to jump because he's a very effective presence. And so everything goes all by time frame too. They'll say a certain time and everything. And I think the characters you don't really talk about much, like the sheriff and the guy who tends to the graveyard, because Michael steals the gravestone of the woman he killed, of the young girl he killed, and everything, and puts it in the house. I don't want to give away too much of this. I'm sorry. Is there something you want to say?
Well, there's a few directions we can go, but we have time. I guess without spoiling stuff, we can talk a bit more about Michael. We don't get much from him. The mask is emotionless. Can't see his eyes. There's no detail to the face. And that's Michael himself, too. In the moments we see his face, there's no expression. He just is. And whatever he is has been planning this night. And part of his profile, if there even is such a thing, is that he's taking the tombstone of his sister and in some way projecting the murder of his sister onto these events, or projecting these events onto the murder of his sister. It's unclear.
Roger Ebert, though, a name people will forget because he's dead now, but was very influential, reviewed Halloween. And he said that Michael was like a little boy playing tricks. And he does play tricks. He dresses up when he's dealing with... well,
let's not spoil which scene that is.
When he's dealing with one of the characters, he's dressing up. He scares people with little tricks. And so he likes to play. He likes to pretend he's dead. So Ebert said he's the ultimate man, little boy serial killer. Like that.
This was before Jason, though, who I think now takes on that role.
Jason was a little boy in the first movie. No, it was his mother in the first movie. So, I mean, he turned into some superhuman thing that you couldn't kill. All right. I mean, the funniest thing in Friday the 13th, Part 6 is Horshack. Now, no one knows who Horshack is anymore, unless you're my age. He was a star in the 70s. His name was Ron Palillo of a TV show. Horshack just is in the movie for 5 minutes to dig up Jason's grave and get killed. That's sort of funny. Little thing about Halloween, it was made, I think it was put, this is why it's so significant. I'm reading from right here because I want to mess up. In 2006, it was selected for preservation in the United States National Film Registry by the Library of Congress as being culturally, historically, or aesthetically significant. And it spawned a film franchise. I think there's 13, right?
That sounds about right, yeah.
Yeah.
And there's a film franchise. We're talking about Halloween 1978. The best slasher to ever do it. So why, pray tell, are all the sequels bad?
They're not all bad. Halloween 2 wasn't too bad. I thought it was weak, but it wasn't too bad. Halloween 3 was an attempt to start making an anthology. A lot of people like Halloween 3. I got to be honest, I don't think it's much of a film, but I can watch it. I thought Stacey Nelkin, who is an actress in that film, was pretty good. But her relationship with the guy 25 years older than her was kind of creepy. But it's not a bad movie.
That's fair.
I started watching 4 and 5, and they were just bad films.
4, 5, and 6. I guess they retroactively make some kind of trilogy with that.
Yeah.
And they do some weird things, from what I've heard, with Michael and his backstory to sort of explain his invulnerability. I'm okay with that in principle, because watching this movie, he clearly is not human, at least not fully human. There's something about him that is able to survive everything he does. Whether or not you should explain it, I don't know. I'll have to weigh in on if 4, 5, and 6 are good movies. Then there was Halloween H2O, right?
I think that may be the last one I ever saw.
Sort of inspired by Scream, which we can talk about in a little bit.
Go on.
Then leads into Halloween Resurrection. Then there's the Rob Zombie movies, and then the recent trilogy.
The 2018 trilogy, you can read a review of it from Steve D. Stones, I think, in plan9crunch.com, was a good movie. It struck me as a little bit too, it's sort of funny for me to say a movie from Halloween is too violent, but I thought they lingered on the deaths too long in that movie. They're more abrupt in the earlier films, But it was a good film. The funny thing was, I thought it was the last movie.
Should have been.
It should have been. And then they came out with this abomination called Halloween Kills that was terrible. It's just a terrible movie. I'm sorry, it was. It was a terrible film. It had no plot. And then Halloween Ends, I thought was a flawed film, but it was appropriate that it did appropriately end everything. It wasn't a great film, but it was a satisfying film to have the series mercifully conclude. I mean, Jason's like, okay, 2018, 1978. That's 50. Is that, how many years is that?
Wait,
That's
18,
50 years.
40 years?
Is it 40 years? No, 78, 88, 98, 08. Yeah, I guess it would be 40 years. So Jason would be 61.
You said Jason's Michael.
Not Jason, I'm sorry. You can always put it on the...
So would Jason. Page. Actually, Jason is older than Michael. I looked this up recently.
Well, they've stopped making Jason films. So the thing is, he's in his 60s. I'm 62. I don't know if Michael could be as active as he's supposed to be in those movies. Maybe we're just being fussy budgets. I don't know. But I thought the last one was worth watching. I think if you want to watch those last three, I wouldn't watch Halloween Kills. Now, people are going to say, no, I just didn't see any plot in that movie. I mean, he's supposed to be dead in 2018 film, and then he comes up and slaughters like 15 firemen and goes running off, and I don't want to get more of the movie out.
Well, the Halloween series is so strange. I guess that's the end of the sentence. But going back to the characters for a second. Yes, I like all the characters in 1978's Halloween. I don't know that they're... Well, because it seems unfair to hold too much against the film for it, because I think Scream takes many of these elements and does them a little bit better. But also Scream wouldn't exist if not for Halloween. And when Scream copies the Michael in the background with the ghost face in the background sections, those are the dumbest parts of the movie because it risks them getting caught in the ghost face attire. But a character like Tatum, a character like Sydney, well, I don't know if I want to say that Sydney's better developed than Laurie. Maybe holistically, because Laurie has like 3 different endings in the Halloween series, and Sydney just has one followed through plotline. Tatum to Annie, we'll say. Mm-hmm. You can sort of tell the point in the movie, Halloween, where Annie crosses the line of sending the little kid, whatever her name is, over to Laurie after fully abandoning the thing. She's not nice to dogs. She is planning to have premarital sex, oh no, with her boyfriend off somewhere. And there's sort of a point in the movie where I think the movie sort of wants you to think, okay, now she's going to die.
Well, some people have theorized that, and it's possible. I just see it as a movie where he's trying to kill people. I see it basically as a battle of wills at the end between Laurie Strode and Michael Myers, who have some kind of weird connection. Probably Michael, because he saw her and everything. But she is just incredibly resilient. I mean, think of how many times she's able to get away from him. And she thinks she kills him a couple times. And I don't want to give away the very last shot of this movie, which I think is classic. And in the whole background, you got Loomis trying to find him too, right? And she doesn't only protect herself. She protects those 2 kids, right? There's not many murders in Halloween. There's so many murders in films now. There's the original murder in the prologue. There's one other before the night of Halloween. And then there's only 1, 2, 3. That's it. I mean, most films have higher body counts now.
Well, you say 3, but there's 3 that we focus on, but there's the guy that Michael steals the outfit of. And
I just told you, early in the film, there's 2.
Oh, we said earlier in the
prologue, and there's one. Sorry, yeah.
And in that case, then the dogs. There's 2 dogs.
Well, he does kill some dogs, too. Yeah. There's like some kind of... I read a book. Back in the 70s, kids, you could go to your B. Dalton Pickwick bookstore, and you could buy novelizations of films. And I bought the novelization of Halloween, and all it had to do with like tree worship or something, Druidism or something, and they take out of the movie, because oftentimes these novelizations, the hack for hire who would write them will be given the script. And they had a backstory of 1200 AD or something, of this kind of strange ritual going on at the beginning. And there's even a scene in the book where the guy's wondering if some young girl is having bad dreams right now, like, young boy. So it was kind of fun back then to You could read the novelization and realize what wasn't put in the just between us. Rocky has the same stuff.
Yeah.
They have a scene in the Rocky novelization where Dipper and Rocky have a fight in the gym. You don't see that. Dipper is one character who just says he digs his locker, and that's it in the movie. That's just a little factoid from Doug, Mr. Nostalgia here. But also we need to mention how effective the music was in this movie, Halloween.
Yeah, so like the main theme, don't want to hum it for copyright, but you know it. If you're watching this video.
Dun, 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 dun. Okay.
It's sort of a leitmotif, accompanying Michael whenever he's doing anything active.
It's the Bowling Green Orchestra. They're in the credits.
Oh, wow.
The Bowling Green Orchestra, believe it or not. You know why Donald Pleasance was in this movie? Or was just doing my Wikipediaing?
Oh, let's see. I watched some videos about this. I don't know how he got.
His daughter liked Assault on Precinct 13.
Oh, yes.
An earlier film
by Carpenter.
Also, Peter Cushing and Christopher Lee both turned down the opportunity to play Dr. Loomis. And I read that Lee later told Carpenter that was the biggest mistake of his life.
Well, but Christopher Lee, he lived probably the best life possible.
Oh, he had a great life.
So many iconic things he did. And also, playing Count Dooku in Star Wars, the least cool thing he did. Playing Dracula, middle of the road cool thing he did.
Yeah. Well, the reason they didn't take the movie was, I think, was because they weren't paying enough for the
very low budget.
$300,000, yeah. And it was an independent horror film, Compass Pictures International or something.
Yeah, something.
But it spawned the franchise, and it made Halloween 2, which I think made a lot of money also. That took place in the hospital. It takes place immediately after the Halloween. But Halloween is just a perfect movie. There are a few movies that are perfect. Another one is Night of the Living Dead. Another one, in my opinion, although some disagree, is Dracula, 1931. And Halloween just keeps you suspense the whole time. It makes you care about the characters. It has a great Van Helsing type character who's quirky. It has believable backup characters, the sheriff, the parents, and the kids in the school and stuff like that. And it also gives you a feeling, a situation where you could be in if you wanted to. It's very middle class. And people watch it today and think that's old because of the 70s, but I grew up in this kind of streets and things like that, and this kind of people. You want to add something, Joe? Well,
to the effect of that, I think it's a perfect movie also because there's really not that many flaws or contrivances. I'm pretty sure there was some kind of line about how their parents were going to the parties and that's why they're not at all the houses. It also is not that late in the night if Halloween 2 is the rest of that night, so it circumvents all that stuff. Throwaway line explaining how Michael knows how to drive, all that stuff. But in terms of like the scariness of it, it's sort of a down-to-earth kind of thing. Michael is stalking. Though he has like supernatural durability and able to appear anywhere. Anyone could stalk you. Anyone could kill you in suburban society. And that's sort of what makes it scary. Scream does a similar thing with how anyone could just become crazed. And
Halloween's scary. If you're going to see it for the first time, it's going to scare you. It's going to scare you incredibly. It scares you along the same lines as Psycho, if you've never seen it before, near the climax. It's scary if you're into more Euro stuff. It's as scary as the last 5 to 10 minutes of Suspiria. It's a very violent, very scary movie. But ironically, it's tamer than a lot of the movies today. But it doesn't lose it. It still has tremendous impact.
Well, it's kind of funny because like if you take most horror movies now, most trashy horror movies now will have excessive blood, gore, and nudity. Scream has the blood and gore down, but not much nudity. And this movie has the nudity, but not much blood and gore.
Well, one of the things that might interest you is films made in the 70s and 80s for a decade or so were more explicit than films you see today. Around 2000, they started curbing it. It's like people of my generation saw Porky's, which a lot of it was politically incorrect now, too, that you wouldn't be able to get away with. So it doesn't surprise me that Scream doesn't have nudity in it. There are films that will do it today, but there was this weird period of like 12 years where they pushed the buttons on things.
I'm not pearl clutching. we gotta respect that John Carpenter made a low-budget movie and still found a way to include that many breasts and that little of runtime.
It has a couple of scenes of nudity in it. You're right.
It's like 3, and it's interesting. I'm not knocking the movie. It's interesting.
It didn't need it, but I mean, the time frame.
I'm not going to tell him to remove it.
It sets up one scene pretty effectively. It didn't need to be in a couple others, maybe, but it's a mild film. I mean, you could even get away with it possibly being a PG-13 today, but that would be a stretch, maybe. But they push the button later, in films, and I don't think they did it very effectively. The thing that people, if I can get anything out of this little conversation, is how well crafted Halloween is, how well thought out it is, how there is care to build suspense, how there is care to build characters that are well developed that you care about. I mean, that's something that takes a lot of work, and had a good director. I don't know if Carpenter he's made a lot of movies, and I've enjoyed some, like They Live's a good one, and so is Prince of Darkness and things like that. I don't know if he ever made a film. Assault on Precinct 13 is a good movie too. I don't know if he made a film as good as this one again.
Oh, well, people would say The Thing.
The Thing, although I'm kind of
You're a purist on that. I haven't seen either one yet, so.
Yeah, The Thing has a lot of respect today now, the remake. Well, Joe, is there anything else you want to talk about this movie?
Anything else I want to talk about? It's a very good movie. We encourage you to go see it in any way you can. I think we bought it on Amazon Prime.
Yeah, I bought it for $5 because my copy, unedited, is a VHS. I'm sure you can find a DVD probably pretty.
It might even be streaming somewhere.
Oh, it's all month. If you want to watch an edited version, AMC is showing it, and if you have voice activation,
this is airing on Halloween, so.
Oh, yeah, you're right. It's going to air on Halloween. Well, you can probably still watch it the rest of the night. It's very easy to find. Okay, put it that way.
Okay.
And it was on sale, I think, for $4.99, if it still is or not. It would be more than $7.99 for everything. And so, what else was we say about Halloween?
What do you find? So you mentioned a few perfect horror movies. Is this better than those, or is Dracula better than this one, for example?
Halloween is one of the top 5 movies. I'd have to spend some time thinking which is the best one.
That's fair.
Okay, another great movie is the Body Snatcher from the 40s. But it's in the top 5. I mean, it's not as significant as Night of the Living Dead because it didn't spawn a genre of a million different movies, but it did spawn the slasher genre, so it's very, very, very significant.
For my own part, it's close to Scream. I'm still not sure which one's better. I think what it comes down to is that Halloween trailblazed at a very short runtime, and Scream picks up those pieces later to revitalize the genre, but also has a greater runtime, more time and space to develop all its things, and maybe a few more things wrong with it. So we can say Halloween is the best slasher movie right now.
One thing Halloween did before we go is it brought this genre to the mainstream. Now, they've done it before with The Exorcist and with Rosemary's Baby, but not to this extent. A lot of AIP, American Independent Films, and other low-budget films, can't remember their names right now, they kind of eased themselves out of business because Hollywood was now making the films that they were making. A movie like Halloween would have been made maybe in a very, very, very even more low-budget, more rougher stance, and played on 42nd Street. Or American Independent, which could get into the drive-ins. American International, I'm sorry, not American Independent. But they were sort of eased out because Hollywood, the bigger money people, realized they could make films like Halloween now. And that also, to an extent, happened with The Exorcist also.
Nowadays, there's some indie horror films that make it big. We just saw Good Boy in theaters. Let's see, independent film company, IFC, through Shudder, they released those kinds of movies.
Yeah, but Good Boy is the first one to ever make $2.5 million at the box office.
It's also a darn good movie.
Yeah, we'll talk about it in the future.
And I guess, in terms of the idea of Halloween being pitched as an anthology series that follows Michael or whatever that mask company was called, or then other anthology stories, I guess maybe VHS is the closest thing we have to that now. That's sort of an anthology of a bunch of horror creatives putting their spins on things.
No, as far as I'm concerned, people can make a great movie and go on and make something else, but that's just me.
Fair enough.
I mean, if you're going, it's just, I don't know. Sometimes I like Hollywood to think of new ideas. That's why I like Good Boy. It's a good movie. Do you want me to wrap or do you want to wrap?
You can wrap it up.
Okay, we're Plan 9 Crunch, and thank you for your time. Enjoy this on Halloween Day. And we're at YouTube. Give us a subscribe. We're on TikTok. You can like us. And also at Plan 9 Crunch podcast and blog on Facebook. And our blog itself, the conventional blog, is plan9crunch.com. Thank you very much, and that's a wrap.